Hey everybody, so I'm back from Flashback Weekend, Chicago, where try and go anyway every single year. It's obviously a lot easier when I lived in Chicago, because I only had to go maybe 25 minutes to get to the hotel. Now it's a little bit more involved. Got a couple hour flights and then have to have friends pick me up at the airport and all that. Anyway, a little bit more, but it's worth going back. If anything, because I absolutely just love the convention itself. I've been going there now for 15 years, I think maybe longer than that. Always have a great time, and especially now they become much more memorable because, and much more meaningful because it's, in a weird way, it's almost, especially for a lot of people, it's the one time of the year I get to see a lot of my old friends that I do miss so much. But anyway, I get to the personal stuff. Actually, after I know a lot of people kind of like, oh, what would you do at the convention? What'd you get? So I'm going to cover that first, and then I'll talk briefly about some of the personal stuff. So as far as autographs and photo ops go, it did not get as much as I originally was planning for multiple reasons. Well, okay. One main reason, money. I really had to budget very, very carefully. And especially with conventions, every convention across the board nowadays. Obviously, prices are going up. I mean, everything, I guess, is technically going up, no matter what it is, especially at conventions. So I did definitely had to pick and choose who I wanted to get autographs from and how many of the photo ops I could afford. And definitely when it came to autographs, I decided to actually go completely personal picks, not just be, originally I probably, if I could, I used to go like, well, I really want to meet them, so I'm going to meet them, get an autograph. Now I'm like, you know what, I just can't do it. So it's like, unless someone it's very, very personal, those are the ones I got. So I ended up getting 2 photo ops. Luckily, I could do both of them on Friday, so I get them out of the way first and then have the rest of the weekend to do everything else. So I decided, even though that so many great photo op options with so many of the guests, I ended up going with the Thing reunion. They had several people from the Thing, and then I'm sure it will surprise none of you, I did get the Halloween 3 photo op. So first up, the Thing, my Thing photo op right here. I'm going to put a digital version up on the screen in just a moment so you can see it more clearly. So I'm trying to remember everyone's name. I'm blanking at the moment, but as you can see, they had a fair number of the guests from the Thing. If you're wondering why Adrienne Barbeau was there, I know a couple people have asked. 2 things. One, they actually had one other guest from the Thing that unfortunately did have to cancel at the last minute. I believe he was sick, so I hope he's doing okay. A lot of these guys are getting up there in years, but also Adrienne Barbeau, who was married to John Carpenter at the time. In the beginning of the film, when Kurt Russell's playing chess on the computer, the female voice of the computer is actually her. So even though she was already attending the convention, they were like, do you just want to jump in the photo op? And I'm so glad she did, because actually I think it's a lot of fun. So normally for photo ops, I do one of 2 things. I either just smile, really good and just enjoy it, or I try and do something kind of specific. And literally, I was originally going to do a normal smiling one for the Thing. Just as I was about to get in for the photo op, it hit me of like, what would be hilarious is if we all point to each other and try to figure out who the Thing is. And so that's what I did. So as you can see in the picture, for the most part anyway, we're all kind of pointing at each other and trying to figure out who the Thing is, and I just think it actually turned out really, really great. They were obviously all game. It's always one of the fun parts about photo ops if you can do it. You do have to plan in advance, because if you haven't done a photo op, they move you through very, very fast. So if you're going to do something, the moment you walk into the area where they're going to take your photo, you have to say it immediately if you want something done. And then, of course, the other photo op was my Halloween 3 one with the legend Tom Atkins and Stacey Nelkin. I kind of loved the little backdrop too, as you can see in this better close-up shot. So, and this is one I definitely went with the normal, like, I just wanted to smile. I didn't want to do anything goofy. I just wanted kind of like a nice smile with all 3 of us. Obviously, Halloween 3, you knew I had to get it. So those are actually the only 2 photo ops I did, but I'm really happy I did. Obviously, the Thing one was pretty expensive because with everyone in it, it was worth it though. I'm really glad I was able to get these 2 photo ops. And then we move on to the autographs. So I did say I only actually got autographs from 4 people, believe it or not. Even though it kind of feels like there were more, but I mingled with a couple of the other guests, but I actually never got like anything, an autograph or anything from them. So I actually I got several autographs, but only from 4 people. And again, there were personal choices because, we'll get to each one in just a second. The first one definitely was somebody I wanted to meet for the longest time. Finally got a chance, is the great Keith David. So I ended up getting 2 autographs from him, and I was kind of looking at some of the 8x10s that he had on his table, and I wanted something from the Thing, but I was hoping he would have something maybe when he's holding like the blowtorch or something along those lines, but he didn't. The only stuff he had from The Thing mainly were just kind of close-up shots. Obviously, if you know the movie, you know that that's from The Thing, but otherwise they could almost be from any movie. So the only one that I kind of felt like, yeah, that's obviously from The Thing is this one, where he's obviously in the the outside get up, the parka or whatever on that. Now, unfortunately, I wish he wasn't wearing the goggles so you could see his eyes, but yeah, I mean, outside the fact that it says The Thing in the corner, either way, I think you would have known it was from The Thing. It just says to Richard, all the best. Love, Keith David. But the other thing I did, which was, honestly, I'm really glad I did this. So before I left for my trip, I was kind of going through some of my 8x10s in my two massive binders full of 8x10s that I've gotten over the years, filled with autographs. I was trying to remember, like, for some of the other guests, like Adrienne Barbeau, Tom Atkins specifically, like, what did I get from them before? Because I didn't want to repeat any 8x10s from them. But while I was going through the binder, I completely forgot that when I met Roddy Piper a long time ago, in fact, it was one of the first flashbacks I went to. It was either the first or second one I ever went to. He was there. I got two 8x10s from him, and one of them was this one, which is as they're doing the infamous fight scene from They Live. And of course, it's John Carpenter, Roddy Piper, and Keith David. And of course, Roddy Piper had signed it, obviously, way back when. And I saw this one, I was like, oh my God, I have to have Keith David get this, sign it. So I brought this with me. One thing that is happening with a couple guests, which again is at a lot of conventions, I'm not too crazy about it, is that you actually have to pay extra if you want them to do a quote. Unfortunately, he was one of them, and I was like, I'm fine if, again, just like with the other one, it was just like, all my best, love Keith David. I was like, fine, like I'm perfectly happy with that. My buddy Bob, who I was in line with, he's like, it'd be really funny if you get him to do the, dirty MFer line, which he says during the fight. If you remember, while they're fighting, and Roddy Piper sort of tries to do a low ball move, no pun intended, and he's like, dirty, and I was like, oh my God, that would be hilarious, because obviously they're doing the fight scene. So yeah, thanks to Bob. Cost me an extra $10, but holy cow, was that worth it? Which, so you can see right there, I'm not going to repeat it. Just keep things semi-clean, but you can see right there too. Richard, you dirty. Love Keith David. So yeah, so maybe one day I can get John Carpenter to sign this. It'd be fantastic. But even if I only have these two, I absolutely love it. So that was it for Keith David. Next up was Nancy Stevens, who is a little bit of a maybe for me. I really wanted to get her. I kind of debated what, because obviously she was in a bunch of the Halloween films. That'll be 1, 2. She's also in the beginning of H2O, and obviously she was in the more recent ones, or at least 2 of them anyway, I think, at least the first 2. Obviously, she has a very small part, but she is in Escape from New York, and I was like, if she has an Escape from New York 8x10, I'm definitely going to get that. And then friends of mine were getting her and stuff, and they were kind of chit-chatting back and forth, so I was obviously standing next to them. And I'm sort of glancing down and like, okay, well, maybe, all right, maybe I'll get something. Maybe I'll get something Halloween or maybe Halloween 2. And then way down in the corner, which I did not see, she actually did have one 8x10 from Escape from New York, which obviously she's in the cockpit of the plane. And yeah, so obviously once I saw that, I was like, there it is. That's what I'm getting. So I'm really glad she did have something for Escape from New York. So, yeah, so that's Nancy Stevens. And the next 2 definitely were personal picks as well, even though I've met both of them before. Yeah, not sound morbid, but both of them are getting up there in years, and it's like, I mean, both of them are in great health, and hopefully they live for many, many, many years to come. It's more, from my standpoint, is like, I don't know when I'm going to be at a convention that they will be at again. So I honestly, I didn't want to take any chances. I just wanted to load up. Luckily, I've already gotten all of them on like posters that I wanted them on. So for example, Adrienne Barbeau, Fog poster, Creepshow poster, I think something else, obviously 8x10s in the past. Tom Atkins, again, Creepshow, The Fog, obviously Halloween 3, a bunch of 8x10s. So mainly I was kind of getting extra 8x10s from them. And specifically for Adrienne Barbeau, my sister, who's a big into musical theater and stuff, she gave me a couple things to get signed from her because she has a big, Adrienne Barbeau has actually done a lot of musical theater. In fact, she was in the original production of Grease. And stuff. So outside of getting the stuff for my sister's sign, I did get 2 8x10s from Adrienne Barbeau. One of them I had a couple options, but actually, I had something about this one I liked, and it's just a very simple one from The Fog. Obviously, of her at the radio console of hers, and very simple. Just as for Richard, my best, Adrienne Barbeau. Very nice. And then the other one, needless to say, no brainer. Escape from New York. She had, I think, two from Escape from New York. No, three from Escape from New York. One of them was actually more of a full body shot, but I think she was loading the gun and I think looking down. And I was like, I didn't want that. And the other one may have been a group shot, and I'm kind of cautious about group shots because it's like, it's a part of me. It's just like I almost want everyone else to get. But yeah, just a very simple one. Richard, heard you were dead. Adrienne Barbeau, which is hilarious. So great one from Escape from New York for Adrienne Barbeau. And this one I definitely loaded up on. I got 4, and honestly, that's a lot. That adds up really, really fast. So let's see, 2 of these. Okay, so again, I've already gotten a ton from Tom Atkins over the years, but I really wanted to get some that I just didn't have, including one that honestly, I'm shocked I did not already have. Most people everywhere else has it except me, and I'm like, why do I not have it? We'll get to that. I'm gonna say that one for last. So first up, though, this really cool one from The Fog of because I wanted something from The Fog, and some of the other ones, kind of like with the Keith David with the close-ups, like you weren't really sure that they were from The Fog. But this one, obviously, with he and Jamie Lee Curtis, even though again, I'm like, probably never get Jamie Lee Curtis to sign this, but I really like this photo, and when he saw it, because I don't think too many people are actually getting this one. He loved it because it's a behind the scenes photo. It's between takes when they were filming. So they were just having a little moment to themselves, and the photographer just caught it. So just a nice little moment. That even made me appreciate this one even more. And the next 2 are Creepshow ones. I've gotten other Creepshow ones from him in the past, but these 2, actually I was only get one of these, but then this next one specifically, I was like, the moment I saw it, I was like, actually, I really like that one. And of course, it's from the beginning of Creepshow when he's yelling at his son, who, by the way, the movie is played by, right there, Stephen King's son. So it says, yeah, Richard, stop reading this crap, Tom Atkins. And it's like, I saw this, I was like, yeah, definitely adding that one to the list. This is the one I was for sure going to get, which, again, also from the beginning, but when he's in the chair with the beer, I saw this, and I was like, if I don't get this, like, something's wrong with me. That says Richard. That's why God made fathers, babe, which you can see right there. I mean, how perfect is that? Tell me that's almost like the epitome Tom Atkins picture. And then finally, the one I was shocked I did not have, and like I should be ashamed of myself, but now that has been corrected, is obviously the famous one from the very end of Halloween 3, the Stop It, which obviously he wrote, Richard Stop It, Tom Atkins. How did I not? I have another Halloween 3 8x10 that I got from him years ago. Not the infamous, I know everyone has this. I should have this. I didn't have it. Now I do. So obviously that has been corrected big time. Add to my Halloween 3 collection. Thank goodness. So then that wraps up all the autographs and photo ops for Flashback. Now, ironically, in the years past, I did actually used to buy a decent amount of stuff. But as I've hinted at in a previous video, and I'm definitely going to cover that in an upcoming video, I'm actually trying to cut back. I'm trying to like downsize a lot of the stuff I have. So it's actually making it a lot easier to not go too overboard with stuff. And actually, I gotta admit, I was actually kind of proud of myself. I bought one thing for a buddy of mine who I'm so happy showed up. He was there with his wife and daughter. His daughter's really young, and so Saturday night, because all the adults, we're gonna be hanging out. I say that loosely. We're technically adults by her age. I wanted to get something that she could just kind of play with and everything. And I sort of asked him, like, was there anything that she saw? And apparently, one table had this sort of plastic face hugger thing that was very articulate and everything, but it was very colorful. It wasn't like just the beige color that it is. It's very like multicolored and everything. And for some reason, she sort of fixated on it. And he's like, yeah, he was, she was watching that. So I was happy to buy that for her. But other than that, the only other thing I actually bought, believe it or not, and this, I literally bought it at the end of Sunday. I was actually surprised. Went back to the table. They're already packing everything up. I was like, if they still had it and they were okay, give them cash. This hat, the Videodrome hat, because like I don't really have much from Videodrome, especially a hat, and it just seems so perfect. I was like, great. I'm going to get it. You can see, just very simple. David Cronenberg's Videodrome, long live the new flesh, as I mentioned several times. Videodrome is one of, if not my favorite, David Cronenberg film. So, I don't, kind of, the funny thing is, obviously, all my stuff was already packed up and in my buddy's car to go to the airport. So I had to throw this in my backpack. Completely actually forgot to get to the airport, go through security. I had to open up my bag, to pull out like my camera, my iPad, go through security. And I open up my bag. I'm like, oh yeah, the Videodrome cat is still in my backpack. So, I don't know. Hopefully somebody watching the scanner, no pun intended, kind of got a kick out of that. And that was it. That was actually it. The other two, I did get two other things, but they were actually gifts, which is cool. I'm going to get to those right now. So some of you may or may not know, I'm actually a little sheepish when it comes to receiving gifts. It's not that I don't appreciate it, but it's like I think there's a part of me that almost feels a little guilty receiving it. I love to give gifts, but sometimes receiving them, I'm a little like, you didn't have to do that, kind of thing. And one of the gifts I got was from my buddy Jake, who I actually met at Flashback back in 2018, maybe. And a couple of years ago, I was 21, maybe 2021, I think. He got me this really cool 45, a Japanese 45. From Fright Night, which has the song in Fright Night on it, the J. Giles Band song on it, which is so cool. It's original Japanese 45. I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. And then this past Flashback, said hi to him real quick, and he's like, hey, come back, I got a gift for you. And I was like, oh crap, he's got a gift. Oh no, I'm getting sheepish. I was like, well, I was trying to finish up a couple things, and then I came back. So, and he had another Japanese 45, and this one is an original one for Suspiria. And I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, you can see the back, the 45 in the back. So obviously it has the main theme by Goblin and one other track on side B that I'm blanking, but I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is unbelievable. So, while I'm not a huge LP collector, I do collect certain ones that mean a lot to me. And I actually do have the original LP for Suspiria. So the fact that I now have those 45 to go with it, I'm so grateful. So I don't know if Jake's watching, but thank you again, Jake, for this. And the other thing I got was from my buddy Bob, who has gotten into the, well, actually he's been into this for a while, but specifically I think more so even lately, he's gotten into this thing where he's in, I think, a lot of these groups and things where there are guys who have access to like film scanners and stuff. Maybe they own them, or at least have access to them. So they actually find all these 35mm prints of films, and they scan them and stuff and upload them. Obviously, they can't sell them because they don't have the rights and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, there's that gray area. But as long as you're not making money, like, people don't care, especially if they're horror films and things like that. And he got me a boatload of them. So real quick, I'll go through his Shining thing, which is cool. Psycho, Silence of the Lambs, Predator, Blade Runner, most likely the 82 original theatrical version, Alien 3, Aliens, Escape from New York, yay, The Running Man, which actually, if you didn't know, I actually love The Running Man, Terminator, the original Terminator, which also has the original stereo audio, theatrical stereo mix, which I don't even think has been on the last couple of DVD and Blu-ray releases. So kind of interesting. Maniac, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, open matte version. So for a couple of these, actually, they're not 1.85 to 1 matted. They're actually going to be full frame. So, which is cool. And also, you got to be mindful when you're watching them. If they're open matte, they may reveal certain things that technically you're not going to see. So it's possible way off in the side, you can see a crew member kind of standing off, or above, because you're not supposed to see. You may see like a boom mic or something. So it's kind of fun, Again, as long as you know it's there. All right, next up, Return of the Living Dead, also an open matte version, which also should have the original soundtrack as well. Raiders of the Lost Ark from the Fuji stock print. So, which if you don't know, Raiders of the Lost Ark, one of my favorite films. George Romero's The Crazies, which is awesome. And then finally, we get Day of the Dead. We get Night of the Living Dead. And finally, we get Zombie, the Dario Argento cut of Dawn of the Dead. And of course, Dawn of the Dead as well, and also Dawn of the Dead is open matte. It's the theatrical U.S. theatrical cut, and it is open matte as well. So awesome, awesome, awesome. And these actually look really good, again, without having been cleaned up or anything, but just from a like clarity standpoint. I wasn't sure if they look pretty fuzzy or anything. No, I mean, most of these actually look really great. So I haven't been able to go through all of them yet, but yeah, I mean, like, such a cool gift from him. So that is definitely officially all of that stuff. I'm going to kind of just mention a couple more personal things real quick. Oh, actually, no, two quick stories, and then I'll just wrap everything up. So one thing that was really, really cool is on Saturday, because Saturday is when they have the big costume contest hosted by Svengoolie. So you'd see people in costume. I mean, you normally see people in costumes at conventions anyway, but you see doubly, like twice as much, but you also see much more elaborate ones. Well, I was with my friend Brittany, who's one of the best friends of one of my friends who was there. This is actually, we met briefly before, but actually finally got to know each other a little bit more, her and her husband Steve. And but she and I were, I think, about to exit the main room, and all of a sudden this guy comes waltzing in with a crate from Creepshow, from the crate, and I'm like, oh my god, like, can I get a picture of that real quick? He's like, absolutely. Taking a picture, and all of a sudden Fluffy comes out, and it came up kind of like this, and I thought it was like animatronic. I was like, oh my, it just kind of pops up. I was like, that is so awesome. And then the guy's like, yeah, that's my wife, and I thought he was making a joke. I was like, oh. And then all of a sudden, no, Fluffy started moving. His wife was in the Fluffy outfit. I was like, you're blowing my mind right now. I literally started geeking out like a kid. It was amazing. I mean, I was like, oh, good Lord. And like, so that was one of those moments where it's just like, yeah, this is why I love coming to these things. Because like, where else would I ever see something like that? And then one other cool moment was actually with Tom Atkins. So unfortunately, the way the weekend kind of played out is my own fault. I should have gotten most of my autographs on Friday, and I didn't. My own fault. I ended up getting most of them on Sunday, which I shouldn't do because a lot of guests can leave early and things like that. But I did get, unfortunately, most of them on Sunday. Luckily, everyone was still there. So, and actually, Tom Atkins was the last person I got, and after I got all the stuff from him and everything, and I don't know, half an hour or so after that, so the aisle that he's in, which is kind of against one of the walls, I was further down that aisle. I was with friends of mine. I think we were just trying to figure out what we were going to do. I think there was maybe 2 hours left, and then of course I had to leave with a buddy of mine, get to the airport. And stuff, and we're all kind of chit-chatting. My buddy Bob starts telling me something, and then all of a sudden Tom Atkins walks by. He must have maybe run to the washroom or something, because he's walking so back to his table, walks by. As he's walking by, he's just like, Richard, points to me, doesn't look. Boss move by him, didn't even look at me, just can walk by, just points to me, calls my name, goes back to the... I don't normally get too overly like geeked out by, I mean, I geek out, I love meeting people, but especially celebrities and things like that, but I think I can talk to them very easily. Like, I don't get so overwhelmed. Even with him, even when I was talking to him like earlier, even though his hearing is pretty bad these days, so I was very respectful of that and everything. But I mean, that moment where he just walked by and said my name, I'm not gonna lie, my buddy Bob's yapping. I have no idea what the heck he was talking about, because I was literally like, like Tom Atkins just like called me out right there. It was one of those moments where, yeah, I nerded out big time. And now just to wrap things up, I mean, obviously I go back to Flashback hopefully every year as long as I possibly can, it's especially since it's unfortunately now the only time I can see a lot of my friends. It's so weird, because I used to see them, if not all the time, at least pretty regularly, and now it's kind of weird to only see most of them, if not all of them, at least once a year. Hoping to change that. I'm hoping, I can make some more trips and see them much more often. And that was honestly, it's funny because now that's my main goal. It's nice. Like, I love the convention and everything and going, but my main goal now is to really see all my friends again. It's almost like the convention is almost just a bonus. It's like the main reason why we're all in the same place. And again, everything with the convention, but my main thing is I get to see all my friends again. And I think that's also why I probably waited on the autographs until Sunday, at least most of them, just because the rest of the time I was hanging out with everybody, and I was so happy I did. I mean, And I'll give you a prime example too. Saturday night, so Alan Howarth was there, and Saturday night they were showing Halloween 3. I think it was in the Q&A room, and Alan Howarth was performing the Halloween 3 score live. Normally, I would have walked over hot coals and broken glass to attend something like that, but instead I was like, I want to spend Saturday night with all my friends. And as much as it would have been awesome to see that Halloween 3 screening with the score, I don't regret 1 second of choosing to stay with my friends. So that's how much that actually means to me now. And it was a great Saturday night too, because we've done this now for several years now. We order for this one pizza place that gets this massive size pizza. And it's the biggest pizza I've ever seen, at least in person. And it's perfect. It's like we all kind of dive in. There's like, I don't know, 12 of us or something. And we're just diving into this massive, I think the pizza place is called Bocce, if I remember correctly, I think. Which obviously makes me think of Star Wars when, Owen's like, do you speak Bocce? And C-3PO's like, of course I can. It's like a second language to me. All right, shut up. I'll take this one. It's like another nerd moment for me. But yeah, so that's like Saturday night tradition and stuff. But yeah, just a great time. And I got to see a couple of you there too, which was fantastic. That's kind of another thing that is become even like another fantastic thing about going to Flashback, and hopefully I can get to other conventions as well. Is actually I get to meet some of you guys, which is even even just much more special. I can't tell you how much that really means to me. It really means a lot. Okay, I'm sure this video is way longer than I even wanted to be. I was hoping I could keep it short, but it's me, so I'm sure it's way longer than it needs to be. So that's it for Flashback Weekend. I'm going to get back to the normal videos now that I am finally back and trying to get back to normal life again, whatever that is. I don't know if you have any questions about the weekend. Let me know. I was trying to answer them. If I was there, for one of the events or Q&As, actually I wasn't there for any of the Q&As. I was hanging out with friends all weekend. But anyway, if you have any questions, by all means, ask away. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.